His parents, Josiah and Ibia Franklin, were not rich. Still, they got by. Josiah ran a shop called the Blue Ball. He made and sold candles and soap there. Next to the shop was the family home. It had just 2 rooms downstairs and 2 rooms upstairs. Young Ben shared a bed with a brother or two. Josiah and Abia wanted Ben to become a minister, but Ben had 2 strikes against him. First, he had born on a Sunday. Many people believed that a Sunday baby was a child of the devil. This was back then. Also, he was left-handed. That was said to be another mark of the devil. His father punished Ben when he caught him throwing a ball or writing with his left hand. It didn't work. Ben was a lefty for life. Something else made his parents doubt that Ben would make a good minister. He was a smart aleck. For example, every evening, Josiah said a long prayer before supper. One day, Ben's father was packing fish into a barrel. Why didn't his father say grace over all the fish in the barrel at once? Ben suggested. Then Josiah would not have to waste time saying grace at each evening meal. For his smart remark, Ben received a slap. Oh dear. Ben went to school for just 2 years, starting at age 8. He failed arithmetic but did well at handwriting and reading. Ben loved books. He read the few books that his family owned. Then he borrowed books from his neighbors. Often he sat up reading most of the night. He also loved the outdoors. Swimming and kite flying were his favorite sports. Ben's first invention was for swimmers. He made 4 paddles that slipped over his hands and feet. The paddles helped him swim faster. Ben always looked for new ways to do things. One windy day, he was flying a kite with a friend. They came to a pond. Ben had an idea. He took off his clothes and gave them to his friend. Then Ben lay back in the water and held on to his kite. As the wind blew the kite, he was towed across the pond. Ben decided to become a sailor when he grew up. His parents didn't want him to go to sea. In those days, not many children stayed in school for long. At the age of 10, Ben was taken out of school. His parents put him to work in the shop. Ben cut candle wicks and poured wax into candle molds. Josiah hoped that one day Ben would take over the shop. But Ben hated candle making. 2 years went by and nothing changed. Ben still hated the work. He wasn't going to follow in his father's footsteps. His parents decided that Ben must become an apprentice. This was common for boys in colonial days. Next chapter, candle making. Tallow, solid animal fat from sheep and cattle. For whale oil is heated in a copper vat and impurities are skimmed off. The hot tallow is poured into molds that are prepared with wicks. The molds are then transferred to cold water for hardening. An apprentice had to work without pay for a skilled craftsman. In return, the craftsman taught the apprentice his trade. After about 7 years, the young man would be ready to earn money at the trade. But what trade should Ben learn? Josiah took Ben to many different shops. They visited a furniture maker and a bricklayer. They went to see a brass worker. They called on men who made pottery and silverware. Nothing appealed to Ben. His mother and father had one more idea. Ben had a brother, James, who was 9 years older than he. James was a printer. He already